Hi everyone, my name is Laura and welcome to Book Bubbler. Today I have my first original tag. This was co-created with my friend Dani over at Spenelli Speaks. We had been chatting a lot about music and things and how much we love 80s music, and we decided to create this tag together. So we have some clues. We have 8 questions here, and they all correspond to a song from the 1980s. As a bonus too, I'm going to put links to all of the videos that I can find. I hope I can find them all online. You can enjoy yourself and have a totally tubular time watching all of these super radical videos from the 80s. So I'm gonna have to look down a little bit to see the clues, but without further ado, here we go. Number 1, Cyndi Lauper, True Colors. What is a book that represents the true you? So for this, I picked Washington Square by Henry James. Catherine Sloper is the main character in this one, and when I read this, I just thought, oh my gosh, this is me. It was so familiar, and I related to her so much. It was almost like it was a past memory or a past life. I mean, honestly, it was so strange. And I reread it a few years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and I felt the same way. It was just so familiar, and I really related to Catherine a lot. So this is certainly one aspect of myself. Prompt number 2, REO Speedwagon, Keep on Lovin You. What is your favorite book from the 80s? Well, there's a lot of stuff from the 80s. I was a child in the 80s, so this might be a little bit of a cop-out, but it is Peterkin Pollen Snuff by Jill Barclay. This was a gift from my neighbors, and I thought it was British originally. I could have sworn it was, but it is not. So it's just this tiny little lovely illustrated book about Peterkin going to deliver the mail to his friends. There's Mr. Squint, and oh my goodness, such stuff. But daily Twitter, very different meeting now these days. This is just so sweet. This is such a part of me. It's so ingrained in my DNA. I can't tell you how many times I have reread this book. I am sure it's in the hundreds of figures, but this is my favorite one from the 80s by and large. Question number 3. Aretha Franklin and George Michael. Oh, George. I Knew You Were Waiting for Me. A book published in the 1980s that you still have to read and that you want to read. And there's a lot out there, but I picked The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. This was written in 1989, and in my brain, I always think it's from the 30s or 40s. I don't know why. It doesn't seem like an 80s book, but it is. So I don't know what it's about exactly. I have seen the movie, but it's been a long time since I've seen the movie. I believe it's just sort of servant's memoir of his time in post-war England, looking back on his life. And yeah, it should be really, really nice. I look forward to reading this. Okay, number 4. Whitesnake, Here I Go Again. Who didn't want to be Tawny Kitaen on top of that car, right? A book, series, or an author's new release that you're looking forward to. So I picked the newest one in the Ruth Galloway series by Ellie Griffiths. The new one is supposed to come out the middle of June, but I just got a notification that my pre-order doesn't have a date anymore. So who knows? However, this series features Ruth Galloway. She is a forensic archaeologist who ends up working with the police quite a bit in King's Lynn and Northamptonshire. And I just like Ruth a lot. She's such a real person and not snobby or pretentious. She makes mistakes, and then she tries to correct them the best way she knows how, like in a very real way. You know, I feel like I know her, and I know everyone on the police force and her daughter. And this is a series you really do need to read in order because they follow up back to back to back. You would be a little bit lost. You might be able to catch up enough, but you would miss a lot of bigger meaning, and you wouldn't know who they were referring to because there are quite a few deaths in this series of main characters. So if you miss when they refer to someone like Tim, That's a whole huge thing. You don't know who Tim is. So I am really looking forward to the newest Ruth Galloway series book, whenever that is. Also, if you're watching this, you know, in 2020 and doing this in 2020, and you're reading this series, this is book number 10. There's one more book, number 11, that's already out. But book number 12 is the one that is coming out. If you have read book 11, do yourself a favor. Do not read the summary, not even the first sentence for the 12th book, because it is a massive, massive spoiler, and it makes me really angry that I know what it is. So please do yourself a favor. Do not read number 12, because, I mean, the blurb on number 12. So, oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, question number 5, Dead or Alive, Spin Me Round. A book that you like to or want to reread. So this is going back to my college days, and that is Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. This was the first Virginia Woolf that I read, and I read this in my books to movies class, which was one of the best classes I took in college. And so movie cover, what are you going to do? But I really fell in love with the book and Virginia Woolf's writing, and everything about her is so fascinating. She's still one of my favorite authors, and I am long overdue for a reread. I'd also like to reread The Hours by Michael Cunningham, because that's one of my favorite books as well. I couldn't find my copy, but that works with Mrs. Dalloway, so I'd like to reread this first and then reread The Hours. Number 6, Michael Jackson, Billie Jean. A book that was recommended to you that you didn't actually like. So, recommendation from my mom, so we're okay. No friendships were harmed in this. But that would be The Serpens Trail by Sue Henry. Had to print out a copy of the cover. The Serpens Trail is the first book in the Stretch and Maxie Cozy Mystery series. The main character is Maxie. She's in her 60s or 70s, early retirement, living in Alaska, and she gets a brand new Winnebago. So she and her mini dachshund named Stretch go down to the lower 48, which is what the continental U.S. is called by those who live in Alaska, and she's visiting friends. So she's driving to Colorado, where the Serpens Trail is, and has to help her friend get out of a murder, from what I remember. I like the idea of it. I like the character. It's an unusual main character and an unusual premise, so she can travel around and it's not a small town, same sitting all the time. I liked Maxie all right, and I liked Stretch, who doesn't like a dog. However, the writing is what got me with this one. Every sentence seemed like it was about 10 words too long, and it kept taking me away from the story and pulling me out of what was really happening. I couldn't get into a flow of reading at all. I mean, I just had to skim it, and even that was frustrating because I couldn't really skim correctly. It was so wordy in a weird way. I have yet to read a book that was like that. So I talked to my mom about it, and she was sort of aghast, but, you know, she said, I get it, that's fine. But then she's passed it on to 3 or 4 of her friends, and they all enjoy the series too. So maybe I read this wrong, I don't know, but this was a dud as far as a recommendation goes. At least it's one series I didn't get involved in, because Lord knows I have enough of those. Okay, question number 7, Van Halen, Jump. That just sounds like the 80s, doesn't it? A book that scared or surprised you. So I hadn't read a lot of thrillers previously. I like spooky things and creepy things, but nothing that would really scare me. I'm not big on horror, but one book that surprisingly scared me and really terrified me over and over again is Black for Remembrance by Carleen Thompson. So I'm not a huge fan of the trope of a missing child. It just doesn't do anything for me. That's what this is about. And so the main character in here, Caroline, her 5-year-old son is missing. Oh no, her 5-year-old daughter was kidnapped and murdered, excuse me. Now Caroline has a new husband, new life, and new daughter, Melinda, but the demons of her past refuse to stay buried. Bouquets of black orchids are turning up on Caroline's doorstep. A desperate plea for help is scrawled in blood on her bathroom mirror. One by one, the people whose lives had touched Haley's are dying inexplicably and horribly, and Melinda, her new daughter, may be next. Now it will take more than a mother's love for Caroline to save her child and her own sanity, because someone is trying to tell her that Haley has come back for revenge. This terrified the crap out of me. I read another book of hers too, and that was even scarier than this one. I think I might have lent that copy to my mother, and I can't find out where it is. I don't know. This was written in 1991, in case the cover didn't give it away, as a very 90s book. But holy cow, super, super scary. If you can find Carleen Thompson somewhere, give her a try, especially if you read a lot of thrillers and things. I don't know how this would hold up now, but when I read this 15 years ago, I mean, it has really stayed with me. So, don't read it at night. Keep the lights on. And the very last prompt, Heart, what about love? Tell us something, your favorite thing, anything that you love about BookTube. For me, there's a lot here. I joined in November, this past November, and everyone has been so nice and warm and welcoming. It's better than I could have imagined, quite honestly. I think my favorite part about it, though, is seeing everyone's libraries. Now, call me nosy or curious, whatever it is, both are probably true. I love seeing bookshelves, and I love seeing how people arrange their books. It is endlessly fascinating to me, and if I go into someone's house, like a new house I've never been in before, I just scan immediately for a bookshelf somewhere and I make a beeline right towards it. So getting to see everyone's bookshelves and what they choose to keep and things from all around the world has been my favorite part, because it's exciting every single time. Even if I've seen it before, I still think it's exciting. So this next little thing is not part of our tag, but if you want to do it, I think it would be really fun. If you want to show us a picture of yourself from the 80s, I think you should do it. We could get some totally tubular, super radical pictures of some awesome 80s hair. I was a kid in the 80s, so I found this one of myself. It's going to be blurry just because it's on a super old Polaroid, but here I am. This is from March 21st, 1981, according to the side. I am almost 3 in this shot, so 80s. I hope you do this tag. I hope you like this tag, first of all. I hope you do this tag. I am going to tag 4 people here. If I don't name you, and I'm sure I won't because I'm only going to tag 4 people here, please feel free to do it. Consider yourself tagged. This is not, I want this to spread far and wide. And if you do this tag, please either leave a comment in this video, on Dani's corresponding video, or on any video of either of ours to let us know that you did this so we can go and find it. I look forward to people doing this tag. So who am I tagging, you ask? I'm going to tag April at Getting Hugga With It, Cousin at Always Doing, Shannon at That's So Po, and Doris at Aldi Books. So rock on, you guys. Enjoy the videos. Do the tag if you feel like it. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.